Alrighty, we are live. Welcome everyone to Phineas Flynn's Law, the long-awaited Danny Jacob interview about the music of Candace Against the Universe. Welcome to the show, Danny.
Well, thank you so much for having me again, buddy.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to your audience that I was a little late. I'm in Arizona, just a little whacked with the COVID and the and there's not a time change, but things aren't in the normal place.
exactly. Yeah, we're all out of whack right now. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. But happy to be here, and hello to your loyal fans and our loyal fans.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like I said, everybody's kind of been waiting for this. We all loved. I think most of us have seen, at the very least, seen Candace Against the Universe.
I
But we
hope
all
so.
just the movie generally. I think we all really liked it. I think that's not too much of a stretch. It was really really good.
I'm happy to hear that.
And your music was just a huge part of what made it so good, just because it was a step above everything else that had been done in Phineas and Milo.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right, so I do have just a couple questions here that we'll kind of go through about kind of the process. So first one was, what was the first thing that you worked on for Candace Against the Universe? Like, what was the very first thing that you did for the movie?
Well, at first it was like even the series, whether it's Phineas or Milo, or where I'll get songs like way before they even have much of an animatic. That
They just kind
they
of have the
have,
song ideas in mind.
yeah. So I mean, I was through with all of my arrangements and productions, demo productions of the songs. Many of them, not all of them, but a lot of the ones like Beautiful Day and Us Against the Universe and Universe is Against Me. And then we'd get Ashley Tisdale and all these people. That was already in the can. Um, but the scoring moment for me was Dan had the whole big intro, after the such a beautiful day.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. And then, the whole thing starts with the felt, giant. And Dan had just this Aerosmith song going forever for like 5 minutes. And I thought, okay, that's cool. I mean, I love that. So I started out that way, like you hear. I think I have a rising synth while I'm playing over just to keep it exciting. But
Oh
then
yeah.
when I saw those credits, I said, okay, this is I got to do something. And that's when I came up with I kept humming Candace Against the Universe until Candace Against.
It's the
But
universe. Yeah.
exactly. But I never thought we were going to sing it. I just thought, okay, it's going to be great. It's going to be so orchestral. All of a sudden the credits but then when I had Laura Dickinson over, who's the sound the female voice in so many songs.
Oh yeah, and the Meet Our Leader song, and I want to
Yeah, but I
say,
mean for the whole series,
yeah,
you've heard her on the majority of anytime you'd hear a non-cast member.
it was
Um,
Laura. Yeah, she did a really
and we
good
just
job.
decided to sing it. We decided to actually sing Candace again, and then they loved it, and that became the theme. And so I used that theme all throughout the movie, as you hopefully could tell.
Absolutely, yeah. There's so many different arrangements of it, and I know there's certain parts when things are like tense, you don't fully complete the motif, where it'll just do like two or three notes when something's like uneasy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm really proud of that because that's what that's what the composers I look up to do, and you just take the theme, you change a few notes, you make it sad, you make it happy, you make it triumphant. So
Exactly.
once I did that, I thought, okay, I know what to do now for the whole movie.
Yeah. All right. So, since this was a bigger project, did Dan Swampy approach you about like the Candace Against the Universe theme, or like the Super Super Big Doctor theme, or any of those, saying like we want this or this? Or was that just kind of, you just took it and ran with it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that they'd say, as far as the Candace Against the Universe theme, we didn't talk about that. I just they just assumed they just told me not to screw this movie up for them, which is just put the fear of God in me, which usually works.
Said this is
Uh,
our big movie. This could be the revival of the
yeah,
series. Give
yeah.
us
Do
jobs for the
not,
next 10 years.
yeah, do not screw this up. You have one job to do, Danny.
One job.
So, it's Super Super Big Doctor. I'm sure that when we were spotting it, they were saying, okay, I don't know if they said come up with a theme, but I think they would say, listen to Darth Vader stuff, or listen to just the real scary, ominous stuff.
Yeah, well, I think one of the really interesting things that you did was you took the electric guitar and the acoustic guitar, which both so crucial to the sound of Phineas and Ferb, and you kind of played with them in this movie in a way that hadn't really been done in the series to create an unnerving vibe in a lot of scenes, which I don't even think Second Dimension's score did that. I think there's a couple scenes in the movie where that happens. Specifically, I'm thinking when they first get on the alien ship.
Yeah,
Um,
the acoustic guitar. I think the only time I used the acoustic guitar was to hark back to all the intros of Phineas, right when Candace is foiled in the beginning
oh
again,
yeah, and they're all
and
kind of just like talking about, yeah, that was fun, and
yeah, I did a bit. I harkened back to the backyard, but once that, I don't remember playing any more acoustic guitar. I just did electric.
you just went with electric throughout the whole
Yeah,
thing. Very
I think
nice.
so. Yeah.
Let's see. So the first track we were just talking about this, "Candace Against the Universe," that made it onto the soundtrack, the actual kind of piece of music, from the beginning of Candace noticing the giant clown to that last kind of musical sting as Perry defeats Doof.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so one of the cool things I thought about that I noticed in that was that you changed Doofenshmirtz's jingle to a different key to actually fit within the score, which I thought that was really neat.
Yeah. Yeah. I really just worked hard on that. And I just got myself more excited about it because I mean they wanted me to do the theme there. They didn't care what key it was in. You probably what you said is probably true though. I just sort of used my ears. I didn't really, you know,
Yeah,
it just needed to just that whole intro sequence just needed to bring everybody back and get everybody on board.
oh yeah, and the electric guitar riffs that you threw in there too, just kind of brought it to the next level, I
Well,
think,
thank
for
you.
it. And what makes it so cool is that you take the same piece of music from the beginning and you move it at the end of the film when they're having the
Like
giant
we do.
chase with the
Yeah.
plant, and instead of emphasizing the front of the piece, you emphasize the back end of the piece when Perry's kind of climbing the radio tower
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
whole thing comes crashing down. I think a lot of people noticed like that was like when you fully brought that score up during that part of the movie. That was like one of their favorite musical
Great. Yeah.
beats.
And that's really just like a vacation for me. That they did that and then they kept living with it. I watched. I go, well, that really works. So it was like we edited it. We kind of would edit it to make it fit a little better, but that was a gift for any composer because a lot of it was done already.
Exactly, because you're well, it's a throwback to the beginning of the film too,
Right.
musically. Just
Yeah.
the what's the parallel, I guess, of it is really neat.
It worked. Yeah. It really worked great during that scene.
And especially since you kind of had to tone down the latter half of that track at the beginning of the film, since there was more stuff going on to really let the
Mhm.
Perry theme, the full
Yeah.
orchestra playing it, really come through there,
Yeah.
just as everything's happening.
I know, man. Thank God for the soundtrack album. Those guys with their dang explosions,
Oh yeah,
turning out my music.
exactly. Oh well, that was another question I had. So for a scene like there's this track's on the soundtrack. There's a scene where they're falling out of the spaceship and they're trying to get back into the canoe. Um, how do you approach scoring a scene like that has so much dialogue that needs to be delivered, um, to kind of allow that to happen while not making sure that the music is good and fits it without you know making it to the point where you're more focused on the music than what the characters are saying, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's just a great question, and it's something that I think I've gotten a lot better at. I think that the better job you can do, dialogue is really important to Dan and Swampy, and it's going to be important, to a lot of show creators. So the better you can do to maybe listen to the range of the vocal and then keep instruments out of that range, the better. So I really had a big canvas I wanted to paint when they fell out of the ship, and I'm very proud of that long cue. I mean, a lot of it was just like, like just falling, and then
Right, because
went
the
into
scales falling as they're falling out of the ship to accompany it. Yeah.
and then it went into almost a Zeppelin odd meter, like dun 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 yada da 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 da. So you just pick your spots, and then I remember I kept it positive. Remember when you start to hear dun 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 dun
Yes.
dun, hey, we'll get the canoe. And then I kept it positive, and when I showed it to him at first, there's a time where they get scared again. But I kept it
Yeah.
positive, and Swampy said, "Hey, we're not out of the woods yet, pal." So I went back. I went dun 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 dun, boom. And then I got tense until they started flying.
Exactly, and then you get the more triumphant version of that when
Yeah,
it kind of trails off into a nice distant with the shot of Doofenshmirtz's building.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they didn't. They just I was getting so heroic, and then I had to do a burning building. But I mean, that's the way that's the way they were.
Yeah. So going back to Silhouettes, you mentioned most of the songs are written before the score ever gets done. You got to co-write Silhouettes,
Yeah,
according to the credits. What was that like? Getting to
fun.
to
Every so
write that
often,
song.
every so often, Dan will do that because it was more of a way later song. Silhouettes was not done early.
Okay.
Dan had that idea, maybe Swampy too, but Dan was one that related to me that, look, I want to totally make fun of all the movies where you'll see them slow motion silhouetting at the end.
Yeah.
I want to, and he said, "You want to write it?" I said, "Yeah, come over." So he just came over, and I think that I just went, da-da-da-da-da. I just played a Metallica. I don't know what.
Silhouettes,
Yeah.
silhouettes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then Dan started singing it, and we just wrote it together. And then we both knew we wanted Robbie Wyckoff to sing it, which he did.
Oh yeah, and he did a fantastic job. And it's
Yeah,
such a contrast to him singing "Everything's Better with Perry" in the Second Dimension film, where it's like very up temp, very up, kind of just up tempo, and this one's
yeah. It
like,
was very Motown, if you know what that means as a younger guy.
I actually do not. What's the
Motown is a sound created by a record entrepreneur from Detroit named Barry Gordy in the '60s, and it was basically a commercial R&B. I mean, it launched the careers of the Jackson Five and Stevie Wonder and Smokey Robinson and the Miracles and all the greats, all the great African American. It unified and made pop music for the first time, instead of
wow,
the music being the races would be separate. All of a sudden, it brought everybody together because the songs were so good.
that's
So if
amazing.
you listen to that style of music, you'd hear what I mean.
Yeah, I'll
That's
definitely have to
your
check that
homework.
out.
That's
There
your
you
homework.
go.
All of you.
Let's all go listen to some Motown. I think they
Listen to
played off of that in
yeah,
Foam Town, like the sound of the Foam Town song back in Phineas and Ferb.
that's right. You got to listen to the Jackson Five, and then report back to me. I expect you to write a paper.
That's right.
All
Everybody tweet at Danny Jacob Music your paper on Motown.
192 people.
Wow, 192 people. Welcome everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight.
Yeah.
All right, so
Thanks.
continuing. So there were some fun reused Phineas and Ferb themes. One of them was Spa Day when the
You got that.
girls are they're kind of getting their mani pedi. So I thought that was a really cool callback. And then there's a kind of a stage piece of music that had been used a couple times in Phineas and Milo. I'll hum it to you. It's like dun 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 dun. So we all got to hear the orchestral version of that, which was
Yeah. I mean, I re-recorded it, so it's a fresh version of it. But sometimes things just work, and I think I might have slipped it in there.
well,
And
no,
there's
it really fit, and it
yeah,
was one of those where it was like it felt like, oh, I'm back in the Phineas and Ferb world. This is the music of it. This is the
yeah. But I mean, do you know? I mean, you're such a young man. I mean, this refers back to us, remembering like awards shows or Academy Awards in the '60s where they'd get so schmaltzy. And now here comes Raquel Welch or Dean Martin presenting the award. It's just that kind of thing. Old
Yeah.
time.
And then you'd have to play people off because their speeches were too long.
Yeah, right. That would be the perfect playoff music. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
All right. And then there was one thing that I did notice that you threw in from Milo Murphy's Law. It's the theme from when Milo gets abducted in Milo Murphy's Law, and you used it for the flashback, and it's actually on the score. Um,
The theme when I used it for a flashback.
it's like
Which
dun da da da
flashback?
dun da 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 dun da 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 dun dun da 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 dun da 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 dun
Oh,
da 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 dun dun da 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 dun.
well, I would call it I would call it a different piece of music, but yeah, it was, it definitely, I see what you're saying. I'd
It
like to think it's an original piece of music that stands on its own, though.
okay.
Would you please say that?
Yes, it was an original piece of music that stood out on its own. Danny wrote it for the movie.
So what you're saying is I stole from myself.
Yes, but I love that. Like I love catching these things. Like these are
Thank
the
you.
that makes it so much fun. And
I'm
it's
going to sue
always.
myself.
I mean, it was part of an alien story in Milo. It fit. Like.
Yes. Yes. Well, believe me, I was probably listening to, I think I was listening to Stravinsky. I think I was listening to a Stravinsky piece of music that I can't think of right now. Great classical composer. Firebird Suite.
Firebird Suite. All right, everybody
Second
can.
homework assignment. Stravinsky Firebird Suite.
All right, we
That's
got
where I got
two
my
homeworks:
info.
Motown and
Yeah.
Stravinsky Firewood Suite.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. So, I know a lot of people's favorite track from the movie is "Heartstrings to Hero."
Okay.
It's certainly one of my favorites. And one of the things that I just wanted to talk about with that is how you take the music, you kind of bring it down to like solo strings, and then once the mug finally gets hit and it opens up, and you just get the full orchestra to kind of accompany the range of emotions. I just thought that was really cool. Can you talk a little bit about writing for that piece, that big moment that's kind of the emotional center of the film?
Yeah. Yeah. I was definitely under a lot of pressure because I mean that I put on myself. I mean, I just knew this had to be a total tearjerker, you know.
Yeah,
So and they had ideas of what they wanted. You know, they had some classic Disney. I don't know where it was from. I don't know if it was Snow Whitey, Cinderella stuff, but uh, I think that the part where they open the where she opens the gift, um, they love that right away.
yeah.
And I worked really hard on that because it's got a main melody, but it's got a counterpoint French horn
It
that
does.
plays
Yes, yes.
secondary melody, and I spent a lot of time on that. But before that, when she was crying, they fought me on it because I kept making it a little more positive. But
Oh, and she's
they
kind of like, "Oh, I don't even drink coffee. Like, what is
right,
this?"
yeah. Even before that, she goes, I'm terrible, and I don't deserve you. And they wanted. I just heard it as being a more poignant, and not crushing, but they really wanted it to be depressing. So I had to do a couple of versions to make it sadder and sadder.
Yeah, no, that's really neat that you kind of got to push yourself to kind of go in that direction. Because that was,
Yeah,
I know Dan Swamp, you're like, this is probably the most emotional Phineas and
yeah,
Ferb has ever
yeah,
gotten.
yeah,
Definitely, because I remember from your score in Second Dimension, like when they're talking about we've had a lot of great days, but we only have one Perry. Like that's still a very positive moment, even though they're having to forget their day with Perry.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but this one really was.
Yeah, thanks.
It
Thanks.
really
I'm
hit the
proud of that. And
heartstrings.
I love the way it goes into the theme, but in the more that's like the most superhero Star Wars way. Dun 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 da da
Oh
da.
yeah, and then of course it transitions into the entire action piece. Um, I'm blanking on the name of that track.
Candace rocks.
Candace Rock slash Showdown. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that one's really good. And then that transitions back into the Candace Against the Universe as it goes along in the third act. So
yeah, yeah.
it's very nice. Let's see. So what was your personal favorite song from the movie? Do you have one?
Um, my personal favorite song, is, I don't know. You know, on a pop sort of hearkening back to Herman's Hermits in the 60s, it's pretty hard to beat It's a Beautiful Day.
Yeah,
It's so fun and commercial.
it really is.
And I got to do with my background vocal thing, the like the mop top Herman's Hermits.
Trio, yeah.
Yeah. So I love that one. I love Silhouettes also because it's so hard rock, and I love that style.
Oh yeah.
But I think that I'm most proud of the score, the 10 minutes of score on those last four songs, just because I think it's the best score I've ever done. On the songs, I love them all. But I mean, that's
Absolutely.
something I've always done for them. And I'm most proud of the score on this, I would say.
Yeah. I do have a couple more questions about the songs. For Us Against the Universe, that probably has to have the most characters singing of like
Yeah.
any song that you've done for the show, right? Like, what was it like trying to layer that to get it to sound right?
A lot of work, man, because you do the best you can because they give it all to us. I'm working with the engineer and we're going back and forth with files in our home studios, and
Oh yeah,
I
because
we
you
think
did
we
most of that from COVID, right? Because most people recorded their
yeah,
songs. I know Jeremy
yeah,
or the Mitchell Musa who plays Jeremy. He was like, "Yeah, they just called me in to record for Us Against the Universe."
yeah.
Uh,
Did you do an interview with him?
no, I haven't done one with him. He did one with somebody else that I watched, but
Yeah, yeah. They'd send me all the files, and I'd painstakingly put each character in, and then you use your ears, and then Gabe, our engineer, would use his ears, and we do a mix, send it to Dan and Swampy. They go, "Oh, I can see Doofenshmirtz, but I can't hear him enough," or
yeah,
and then I'd have my vocals in there too. They're either too loud or as a shadow.
yeah.
Laura and I and Robbie and Aaron would be Aaron's in that song. There's all
I think
of the
Kelly who actually sung for that. If the credits are right, I think they might not be right, but
is she super big doctor?
no,
Who's
she was Stacy.
oh she's in there. Uh, you just got to get the balance right for your bosses because there's so many singers.
Absolutely, yeah. And with you have to balance the male and the female voices and make sure that whoever's on screen is the primary voice for the time. So you got to kind of change
Exactly.
things up and
You got it. You got it. Yeah, that's exactly right. So it was a lot of work, but well worth it.
absolutely. Let's see. So what was let's see. I know you talked about how much of a challenge it was to kind of really get the score to that sad part, but what would you say was the easiest part of the movie? Like the part that just kind of came naturally, like you're just like, "Yep, I'm feeling it. This scene is just, right out of the gate."
On a score level,
Yeah.
um, what? My fiance loves Space Adventure.
Oh yes, the
She's
Space
now
Adventure
she's
theme.
making me sing it to her.
You want to
Just
sing
that
Space Adventure for everybody?
sure. I don't, the words I'm going to get wrong with. Space adventure is calling you. So put on your space face and make your way to the stars beyond the blue quasars and nebulas too on our space adventure. It's an adventure in space. Space, 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 space.
That's so good. That's so good.
I don't think that has anything to do with your question.
No, it really doesn't, but that was amazing.
I don't know what came easy. It was hard work. Some things came easy. The songs always come easy.
Yeah.
I guess the best way to answer it is there's times in the score where I just know what to do. It's still hard work, and then there's other times where I have to think about it and listen to a lot of references, and then it's something to get me excited to give me a starting point.
Yeah.
So. I'll get back to you on what came quicker, what came easier.
No, and that makes sense too because you're dealing with so much score anyways. It's like every day you want to go in and put in your full effort. None of it feels easy when you're working.
Yeah, exactly. It's all hard work, but some of them would come faster than others.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So there were two cut songs. This is just a fun question. Which one was your favorite? The Universe is Against Me or A Step into the Great Unknown?
Yeah, I mean, I like both of those, and they just ran out of, they had to make decisions.
Yeah.
I like them both the same. I think they're both cool because they have a lot of guitars and
oh yeah,
they're just kind of cool songs.
Well, the way you mixed the vocals in The Universe Against Me, is really cool with Olivia Olson kind of on this background harmony
Yeah.
for parts of it, and then I think Laura has some background in there too,
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
and then Step into the Great Unknown is just classic because you get the 5 original voices, Vincent, or the, I guess 4, Vincent, Allison, Malik, and Bobby all singing the
Yeah.
song.
I mean, that song reminds me of Beatles, and like it reminds me of the '60s.
Yeah, I'll
Just
admit that my heart is racing. It's very,
yeah,
I don't, yeah,
it's
I wouldn't even know how to describe that genre.
yeah, it's just. I mean, if you listen to the Beatles and uh, even Tom Petty in the '70s, and just different time, the Who,
Oh yeah, I need,
all
I
the
need, I
great.
need, I need a musical education. That's what I need, really.
Well, okay. That's the third lesson. You listen to all the rock bands of the '60s, like uh, the Who, the Beatles, and Tom Petty's the '70s.
Well, I'll go
Now,
listen to Yellow Submarine and we can get back.
yeah, listen to that and listen to early Beatles, and then that'll remind you of the Great Unknown, I think.
Very well. All right. Let's see. Let's kind of going through here, jumping back and forth. We talked about the key change. We talked about the title card music. So you're talking about a lot of the different influences Dan Swampy gave, like, listen to Darth Vader this or this Aerosmith song, whatever. But what would you say? What music inspired you most for this film? Was there a specific soundtrack that you would go back to, or a specific composer?
I did a lot of listening to um, some like composers like Stravinsky, which who wasn't as much of a film composer, but just I get a lot of good stuff from. But I also listened to a lot of David Williams, who did Galaxy Quest, and he did Hoffa. He's a brilliant composer. He's one of the I'm sorry, Newman. Did I say Williams?
You said David Hoffa, I think.
David Newman is what I
David
meant.
Newman. Okay.
David Newman did Galaxy Quest and Hoffa and a ton of other movies, and I was listening to a lot of him.
Yeah.
Uh,
Absolutely.
a lot of action adventure stuff like the Die Hards. You remember?
The Die Hard movies. The everybody always debates: is it a Christmas movie or not?
Yeah, the first one. Yeah, right. It was a good Christmas movie. Yeah, I listened to a lot of action adventure stuff,
Yeah.
and I listened to David Newman, and I listened to Stravinsky.
Awesome. All right, so now we're going to take some audience questions. So if you got any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. One person asked, do you know the names of the 3 characters in the little trio that you voice in Such a Beautiful Day?
Do they have names?
I have not been aware if they do, but that was the question.
I don't know their names, but I just remembered my favorite line in the whole movie.
Go for it.
And the only reason it's my favorite line is because when you score a movie, you watch it 100 times, and something just cracked me up the 100th time. And do you remember the scene where she kills the monster, Candace, the first time, and you think everything's good, but then the petting zoo thing all of a sudden starts shaking, and then the mama plant comes back out.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, Candace goes, a petting zoo? Who thought to put a petting zoo here? And then you see Baljeet jumping up and down going, yay, my petition worked.
Yeah.
That's my favorite line in the whole movie.
That one is so
It took
good.
me half a year to realize it because there's so much stuff going on. And then I just started laughing nonstop. So
That's such a fun character joke because that's like so in character for Baljeet.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody even got it, but I hope so because it's funny.
Oh, this is another one that I just thought of. What was it like working on the scene where they all noticed the ominous noise? The building making the ominous noise, like as a composer doing that scene.
I mean, it's actually easy because they already just do a low drone.
Yeah.
So, you just get any synthesizer. I mean, maybe it was a cool sound. I mean, it was some old analog synthesizer. And I mean, the main thing is just to get the note exactly only when, So you have
Yeah.
to sort of shift it around until it each time.
You kind of work
And
with the editor to figure that out.
yeah, no, I mean I would do it, and then yeah, they may have moved it, and then of course the gag is that Buford for some reason can't. It's not happy. He doesn't
You
hear
can't
the.
hear it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man. All right, somebody asks Peter's solo, was it everything? Was it nothing? Was it everything because it was nothing?
What?
Peter's solo in the Meet Our Leader song where he does the little floss dance. It's like the lines like, but really Peter's solo is everything.
In what song?
It's the that's the Meet Our Leader song.
Oh, oh, because Peter, yeah, Peter, one of the dancers,
Yeah.
one of the show dancers. Yeah, I didn't really get into the Freudian psychology of Peter. I don't have a lot to say about him. Knowing Dan and Swampy, though, he could show up again somewhere.
Very true, very true. Um Somebody says aside from the songs in Candace Against the Universe, what's your favorite Phineas and Ferb song?
Just in the whole series, you're talking
Yeah.
about 400 songs.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I'm just gonna, I don't know about favorite, but I remember some that I just love. I'm Me with Vanessa.
Yes. That's such a fun rock song with the lyrics are just so insane.
I loved Ducky Momo is my friend. I love
Yeah.
that,
Oh my goodness, that's one of my favorites.
and
When
I
I was
love
small, the world was such a strange place. That
yeah,
was all until I saw his strange face quacking in slow mo. Yeah, that's a
beautiful
good one.
song. John Colton Berry wrote that, maybe with the guys. I also love Little Brothers.
Yes, that was another John Colton Berry.
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody asks, how stressful was it to have to write at least one song for each episode of Phineas and Ferb?
I don't. I write only about 10% of the songs, maybe. With Dan and Swampy and the different directors write 90, at least 95% of the songs,
Oh yeah.
and then I just produce them. I arrange and produce them.
All right.
So not stressful at all. To answer the question.
Let's see. Kind of just searching through here. What do you think of the aliens shouting Candace when they explode? Oh, and when you made the the soundtrack version of Us Against the Universe, you made that like the beat ramping up, like Candace, 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 Candace,
Yeah.
Candace.
I mean, that was their idea.
That was so
They
fun.
they gave me that effect already. I just had to place it in my music.
And kind of add a little
So
bit of echo and all that fun stuff.
yeah, I mean, they actually created that sound with a vocal and a whatever effect. Sounds like throwing up with the word Candace. So I just stuck it in there. So I don't not attached to that. It's the craziest part of the movie in the first place. She goes to a planet where if they get too excited,
They
they
explode.
explode and say her name. I mean, I'm just going along with it.
Very true. Let's see. Were there any songs that you had to rush to finish for the movie?
Songs,
Yeah, like I think they're referring to the We're Back song.
yeah, and they would be right.
Yeah.
That was like, hey, let's try to fit this in. I think that was partially a business thing from the higher ups saying we want a song like that so we can hype the movie before it comes out.
About the characters being back, which makes
Yeah,
sense.
and then everybody liked it so much that they made us put it at the end of the movie,
Yeah, it
and
was really good.
it actually worked well, but we had to make it work, they did.
Yeah.
I just had to make the song sound good as usual. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I thought it was really cool, but it wasn't expected
Were there
on
any
our.
challenges finishing the score over having to finish all that stuff over Zoom with quarantine and everything?
Yes, yeah. We couldn't do it in LA because of the lockdown.
Yeah.
So we did some of it in with German orchestra in Berlin.
That's right. I remember Dan sharing that they were recording that.
Yeah. So that was the only way to do it. But we before COVID, we had a lot of the LA guys. So on a lot of the songs and the first act,
You said they were all done before COVID.
yeah, well, yeah. But then when we had to go in to do the rest of the a lot of that score, we had to do the Berlin orchestra to comply with the California laws.
Makes sense. That's impressive that they were able to take everything, speaking an entirely different language and still, music is the language that unites.
Wow, very well said. But it was great because there's technology now where you can they have this down over there in some of these orchestras overseas, and they speak English, and you got a conductor, and then you got another guy that you're talking to, and it's all in real time, and it's pretty amazing.
Were you on those 3 a.m. phone calls that Dan was talking about where they were
Everything,
recording?
yeah. I was
Wow.
spearheading it.
That's amazing.
It was
Um,
fun.
let's see. So somebody asks who was responsible for getting the whole theme of space adventure into the movie. Was that was that just the writers, or because if I remember right, that was written back during the series. That wasn't written for the movie, right?
I think that I don't know if they ever got it in an episode. Space. Would you know? You guys are
Yeah,
so
so yeah, Space Adventure made it into a few episodes, but it was just the joke was Space Adventure. It's an adventure in space, and that was
right. I think that at one time they were thinking of it as being like an episode, and it didn't work out, and everybody just thought it was so funny. It ended up in the movie.
awesome.
It wasn't my call.
Oh yes, Lord. Somebody mentioned Laura Dickinson finally got screen credit after 14 years,
Oh
thankfully in the
yeah,
movie.
well deserved.
Very much so. Um, Somebody's saying they should make a 1 hour analysis of Peter's character.
Yeah, well, yeah, like I say, that I would call that a what's the word I'm looking for? A unusual question. A
Somebody says, "What's one of your
random.
favorite memories from working on Phineas and Ferb?" Just from, I guess, maybe from the movie or just from the whole series. Just a favorite memory, I guess.
Um, well, working with the orchestra was beautiful. It was really uplifting.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
uh, so just hearing, a ton of strings and brass and woodwinds and hearing it all come together might have been the most uplifting part for myself personally.
well, absolutely. To hear all the scores that you've written over the years all come to life again with a full
Yeah, yeah,
orchestra, absolutely.
yeah,
Somebody
yeah.
asks, "What's some of your favorite scores from animated movies?"
Well, I love the score to Chicken Run. That's Harry Gregson Williams and John Powell. I love the score to all the Toy Stories.
Oh yes, Randy Newman.
Yeah. Uh, I could go on and on, but that's a good Shrek. Shrek is also Harry Gregson Williams and John Powell did Shrek.
Very
Amazing.
mold breaking.
I play guitar on that, and that's an amazing score too.
You play guitar in "I'm a Believer," right? At the end.
I produced the "I'm a Believer." That was Eddie Murphy singing
Oh,
that,
okay,
and I played the guitars on Shrek for Harry and John.
that's fantastic. Are you doing music for any upcoming Dan and Swampy? Like, do you do Pete the Cat's music or?
No, that's I didn't get to do Pete the Cat. I guess Swampy, that's I'm gonna try someone else to help with this guy. It's okay. He's got it right.
Dan's still got you in his pocket though, right?
I hope so. I think
Awesome,
so. Yeah.
awesome. All right, let's see. Somebody asks, "What's your favorite thing about working with Dan and Swampy?"
Um, well, there's, I think my favorite thing is that they are really talented. I mean, they are just, you just feel like you're working with, guys are at the top of their game. That's the first thing. The second thing is they love music. and they are musicians themselves, and they're
Yeah.
songwriters. So uh, that's a bonus too. You know,
Yeah, being able to communicate with them, musically.
exactly. Yeah,
Let's see. Somebody asks, would you be able to legally release any of the demos from the movie on websites like SoundCloud?
absolutely not. It's not going to happen. And if it does happen, it won't be from me. I think there was some guy that released. Did you remember that? I think
Yeah.
some guy got popped. I don't know if they cut him a break, but I think a demo of something got out there somehow.
Yeah.
Wasn't for me.
Let's see. What was your favorite Doofinator? Do you have a favorite Doofinator?
Oh my God. Now you're talking about like how many?
Millions.
I probably have one, but I'll have to get back to you on that.
All right, and we got somebody asking favorite character, just I guess overall in the universe.
In the movie?
Yeah.
Um, I might have to go with Candace on this one because it just showed such a so many sides of her, and I think the sweet side was, I mean, the ending of the movie is just so sweet.
Oh
With
yeah.
Peter, she thought she was going to bust him, and then she goes, she finally had him, and then she's like, no, just get us some pizza, mom, or something like that.
Yeah, though that's a really fun bit because right as she's like looking like she's about to bust him, you bring back the Candace theme, dun 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 dun, and it's like stronger than it's ever been before, dun dun dun
Right.
dun dun.
Yeah. So I think because of that, and just the heroism of her and everything, and the boys, I'll give it to her
I
on the
know the
movie.
answer to this question, but I'm still gonna ask anyway. Somebody asks, were the spores from the plant a reference to COVID-19? The plant.
Wow, that's what Maria said when
Yeah.
watched the movie, and she looked at the spores and she thought it was COVID
And they
19.
have to wear their gas masks
Robin Hood.
to avoid it.
I think that was a coincidence because
Oh yeah, they wrote that way before COVID.
right, yeah, either that or they're prophets and they knew it was coming.
All right, let's see. So,
Robin Hood, yeah, that's COVID.
somebody says "Us Against the Universe" feels like something that High School Musical would pull off, but
Hey,
it's
that's a classic. That is a classic, pop rock show tune. That it's a formula that we've been doing,
oh yeah.
and all the dancing. It's just
Are they singing every note of the chord for like every part of it? Are they like all on different parts of the chord for each part of it singing in
you mean all the
harmony?
harmonies?
Yeah, or are there like how many different harmonies are working together in that song? Do you
Well,
know?
I have it all done with Aaron, myself, Laura. They'll be stand-ins for the cast, so it's big when they get it. And then we'll have the cast sing parts based on their range.
Right.
So
Bobby's gonna be a lot lower, and Malik's probably gonna go a bit higher. And
yeah, Bobby, Buford, and Doofenshmirtz are the least our least concern because it's all. I don't even know if it's singing. It's just it doesn't matter what they do. It's funny and it works. I mean, it's in tune. I mean, they're singing to a
yeah,
melody, but it's more of a vibe.
very much so. It's not album voices.
No, although I'd love to do solo album for both of them.
Very yeah.
I think the world wants that.
Yeah, Buford. Well, we're all disappointed that Frenemies never got released on a soundtrack because we all love that Buford and Baljeet.
I think we should do a Christmas with Buford. I mean, he sang good King. What is it? Wenceslas?
Good King
Good,
Wenceslas with
good
Buford.
King Wenceslas is on one of the Christmas albums.
It is. But frenemies, that was really the big one. It was like, cause we're frenemies, we like
That was a
disliking
good
one
one. Yeah,
another.
that was a good thing with them.
Yeah. Um, let's see. I'm just kind of picking and choosing.
Who sang Frenemies? Who were the two characters on that?
That was Buford and Baljeet.
Oh, okay.
That was what made it interesting.
I just didn't think they were enemies. I knew they were.
It's the bully nerd relationship, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe at one point in the series they really did not like each other.
Somebody says, what finally made the creators put chop, chop, chop in the movie?
It's just a thing they do. It started out because we all got a kick out of the song from Milo.
Yeah.
And then they just, I don't know, these guys, when they're kicking around ideas there, and Candace is trying to push buttons and get the automatic control to do it, and then they keep getting it wrong, and they decided, let's just do chop chop.
Yeah. That was a good place for it.
She
And
said, stop, stop, and then playing chop chop from
the
Zach
lumberzacks.
the lumberzacks, and
Yeah.
then they decided to put the whole version on the album.
Which was great because we finally got to hear that good old second verse.
Yeah.
Let's see. Somebody asks repost, but why was Isabella's voice double tracked in the soundtrack?
Well, this person is really listening. Double tracked in what song?
I think they're talking about at the end of Adulting. There's one of her spoken lines that's not really in song.
Oh, oh. You mean is the soundtrack different than the picture?
Yeah, slightly. There's a few small things, like I know Us
It's
Against the
propri-
Universe, like Doof's vocals are lowered in the soundtrack, and it's
uh,
nothing
propri-
huge.
proprietary 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 information.
Look at
Can't divulge.
that. Cannot divulge. All right. What's your favorite Star Wars score?
You mean from the one I did for Phineas, or just the actual Star
I
Wars?
think they mean just like which Star Wars movie has your favorite score?
Oh, um, now mind you, I rocked Star Wars when it first came out, and you weren't even born. None of you people probably. But I love the Battle of Yavin. I love the main theme, and I think that the Darth Vader theme has been very inspirational for a lot of composers.
Oh yeah, the Imperial March is just
Yeah, the
iconic.
Imperial March. Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of us have borrowed from that.
All right. A lot of people are asking, is Milo gonna return? Is Phineas gonna return? It's like, guys, we can't.
The composers won't even know anyway.
Exactly. It's like you won't be brought in until for another 6 months.
Yeah, you got to ask Dan
Yeah.
or Swampy.
Exactly. It's like when we have Dan on the show. Hopefully he's coming on. I think we're talking about sometime later, either this month or next month. So we'll
I
see.
think we'll have some good stuff to talk about.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Do you have a music genre that you wish you could cover in Phineas or Milo that you didn't? But I think you got to cover most of everything in those shows, for the most part, in some
Um,
form or another.
yeah, I can't think of a genre we haven't done.
Yeah. Okay, somebody's asking about a very specific song called "Gotta Get Gone." I don't know if you remember it.
Yeah, that's
Um,
a cool one.
they're saying, did it feel any different to compose that song because it was made for a video game instead of the show?
I didn't compose it. Credit where credit's due. Again, that's probably written by Dan and or Swampy with maybe whoever was the director or writer of that show.
Yeah.
But it didn't change anything for me. I just
Because they probably don't even tell you what it's for. They're just like, hey, we got a song.
you're exactly right. I have no picture to look at when they give me a song. It's probably months before I even get the episode to score.
Exactly. And then when you bring it into the kind of the episode to make it work and you kind of have to play around with it removing vocals, is that something that you do in the editing suite, or do Dan Swampy kind of like make notes like remove vocals here, cut this part, and then give it back to you to produce a
Yeah.
clean version of that?
Well, sometimes I don't have to do anything because they'll animate to it and it's perfect. And other times they.
They just throw in a cross dissolve on the audio and they're like, nobody will no.
Well, yeah, they'll cut it short and it'll be sort of a harsh edit when they cut it short, and I'll have to not starting from scratch, but I'll have to go back
Yeah.
into the computer and make it work elegantly. And then the other thing I was going to say was sometimes they'll want me to add stuff because if you see something in the picture, they'll say, "Yeah, the songs, everything's great, but add something when they're shooting at them."
This
Like, you know,
cue or that, yeah.
yeah.
Let's see. You have a okay, first of all, somebody keeps asking will they make a second verse of Girls Day Out. That was written by Dan and Emmanuel Kiriakou, and from what I know, they did not write a second verse of that song because if they did, it probably would have been on the album.
I never heard a second verse,
Yeah.
so it's a great song. I mean, to me, that's
It's so
that kind of
good.
song that could live on its own outside of the movie.
It's
So,
wonderfully catchy, and you didn't even have to produce that one. I think Emmanuel just did it right there while they were writing it.
well, I did produce it, but there was a lot of Emmanuel stuff that I used.
Oh, okay, so he kind of already had the pieces. You just kind of cleaned it up for the
Like
most.
they sent me his synthesizers, so I used most of his synths. I may have added something on a drum level, but and I played guitars on it and stuff like that. But
Oh
Emmanuel,
yeah, in the soundtrack version, I don't know what instrument or thing it was, but it was like a bump 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 kind of at the beginning and end of the song that didn't
yeah,
make it
that's
into
from
the movie.
Emmanuel. That's I think an affected, pitched, octave pitched up vocal with a bunch of effects on it.
Very cool. Oh yeah, somebody asked what program you use earlier. I forgot about that. What programs
I
do you use for scoring and
I've,
whatnot?
I've always used Cubase for everything.
Cubase. All right.
Yeah.
Um, Somebody keeps asking, would there be a chance of Disney Records to release a Phineas and Ferb record album set? That's not something that Danny or I would know.
A
Just
Phineas and Ferb album set.
yeah, like including every song that they've ever done.
I mean, we got a lot of records out with a
Yeah, you
lot
got
of
like 6 or 7 at least.
there's a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah. Um, Lots of people saying, "What's your favorite Milo song?" I think you already answered this last time, but it's worth it again.
Um, yeah, Milo song. I'm not gonna. I don't know about favorite, but the one that comes to mind is I love doing Fear and Loathing in Outer Space was fun.
My
Um,
favorite's always "I'm taking a stroll in the moonlight, taking a stroll."
you like that one?
Yeah, that one's fun.
That's a good one. Yeah. I just thought of a song I liked about Phineas that also, since you brought up an Aaron song, "Fly in the Wall."
Oh yes, that was co-written by Bobby Lopez, I think.
Yeah. He also wrote Aerial Rug. Bobby
Yes,
Lopez.
another one of my favorites.
Yeah.
What I like
All
about "Fly on the Wall" though is it just has a very specific vibe to it that I don't even know how to describe.
That's that Aaron Daniel Jacob sound.
It really is. All right. Um, just kind of going through the chat. Alrighty, I think we've caught up on all the questions. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a blast getting to talk to you about the music. Anything you want to talk about, just from the movie that we didn't cover, or and I'm
Well,
floor's open for you.
I mean, I just appreciate all the support. I'm just so happy that because all of us, myself included, and all the creators are feel really close to the movie, and it's like delivering a baby, and we just appreciate everybody, being loyal to us.
Absolutely. All right. So this has been Phineas Flynn's Law. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great night.